Hello, everyone. Good evening from India. And yeah, this is a monthly meeting, what we are organizing, and we are inviting keynote amphibian researchers and speakers who have profound knowledge on amphibians. And we would like to create a platform for the SARC countries so that we can share knowledge on amphibians, what is going on in the countries. Like in Pakistan, we have heard from Bangladesh last month. And before that, we have heard from Dr. Karthikeyan Vasudevan. He talked about chytrid fungus. And this is happening in last Saturday of every month. So this is a recurring meeting, and next month we will have another speaker, and we will post it soon. So today we have Dr. Gururaja KV, um, one of the person in Indian amphibian research, and the enthusiasts actually idealized him. So he has profound knowledge, and we are very happy to have him here today in the evening. He is very busy, and very much thanks to you for your time for us. And I would like to tell that Dr. Gururaja KV is currently associated with Srishti Manipal Institute of Arts, Design and Technology. It's based in Bengaluru. And he will be talking about the story of an endemic tree toad from Western Ghats. And he is a passionate frog and toad researcher interested in ecology, behavior, and systematics and biogeography. And I am Sharbani Nag. I have registered Save the Frogs India in the year of 2019, and I am a frog lover. And I am still doing research on frogs, and I like to spread stories and knowledges among children, among mass, because I want to create an awareness, and I am keen to learn how Dr. Gururaja KV has done this wonder. So Save the Frogs India is a trust, and it's over to Dr. Gururaja KV, and we are eagerly waiting for your story. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sarbani, for that wonderful introduction. Thanks, Kerry, for being there and doing this from. I think we have met in India long back.
We sure did. Thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah,
being here. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, wonderful. And thanks everyone in India on Saturday evenings making time to come and listen to my talk. And for those everywhere else also, thank you very much for taking your time on a Saturday. So let's begin the talk. I will share the screen in a minute. Yeah, okay. I hope it's visible.
Yes.
Okay, is it on a slide mode? Right. So I will be speaking about Malabar Tree Toad, which is an endemic toad discovered long back. And more importantly, it's not about the toad; it's about how citizen science helped in assessing the toad species and its ecological status. So before heading into, and I have also seen how Dr. Karthikeyan Vasudevan briefly introduced this report and paper that we were able to publish last year in November. So this came in Nature on the ongoing declines of the world's amphibians in the face of emerging threats. And amphibians are the most threatened vertebrate group on Earth, with about 41% of the known species being in threat status. It is important for us to talk about not just about what is happening, it's also about how we are going to reverse the trend, if at all, in certain instances, if it is possible. Right. So there are new dimensions. The climate has emerged as a new factor. whereas habitat changes, modification has been the largest threat from the time it was assessed, like 2004 onwards, the assessment has been on. So since then, habitat fragmentation, changes, modifications have been the major threat, whereas the climate change has emerged as a new threat in the last assessment that we did in 2020. So when everyone else were really struggling with the COVID-19, we were fortunate enough, like 1,000-odd researchers across the globe, we sat together over Zoom, and we used to have an evening call because we have to collaborate with Australians, Indians, kind of thing. But again, so this work came out to be a great work on a sad news kind of stuff. Right. So the global scenario is like that, but what is happening with Indian species? So we assessed about, we here is not just about me. There are over 100 plus Indian researchers involved in this. So you are part of the ecological status assessment. So we assessed about 426 species. The trend you can see in terms of how the arrows are showing. The bar with the blue is a global amphibian assessment in 2004. That's when I had just submitted my thesis and I was awarded PhD. To 2020, it took almost 16 to 20 years for the second amphibian assessment to happen. But the news is not so great. As world amphibians are declining, so is Indian amphibians. So among 426, we have about 31% of them are under threat status. So in the large scale, if you see, critically endangered species were reduced from 19 to 14, whereas endangered has doubled. Vulnerable species also doubled, whereas near threatened has tripled. These are all the indications that there is a serious threat to the amphibians of India. What is the good news is that least concerned also doubled. That's a good news. But having said that, you can see that data deficient species are also on increase. Not evaluated species are on decline. In the sense, we have about 3 species now, another 30 species to go for assessment, so that we'll be complete with the assessment. But when you look at species which are endemic to India, in one, like 426, majority of the species under threat status are coming from those species which are found only in India, right? And that's the major scenario here, because you have species which are widespread, which is across Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan. But the species which are specific to India, their number is also high. For example, here, if you see the endangered species, the total number of species is 74, but endemic species which are endangered are 72. Only 2 species are widespread, right? So these are quite a few starting points that we are able to see through the ecological assessment of amphibians, through global amphibian assessment too. So moving forward from this, so what is happening with Indian scenario? So you know that amphibians are grouped into 3 orders. There are 8,753 species according to FROGS website, amphibian species of the world. So there are 3 orders. One is naked snake, the salamanders, and frogs and toads. They are distributed like this. I'm not going to deal with that. I will switch over to Indian scenario, because this is where we seriously need to focus on the habitats and the conservation of amphibians. Because way back in 1799 is when first 5 species of Indian amphibians were formally described. Formally described in the sense they have a name, they have a scientific name. It's been described by Schneider. There were common 5 species, Dataphrynus melostictus, Euphlyctus sinophylictus, and there were 3 more, one of the burrowing frogs and microhylids. But then it slowly moved on and on and on, with British naturalists contributing to many of the species. And then we had independence in 1947, and then it slowed down a bit because of the switchover from basic science to applied science. But 2000 onwards, we had a sudden spurt in number of species being described, thanks to Professor Biju, his discovery on nature of the pig-nosed frog, Nascabatrachus saidensis. But if you see last 24 years, we have over 240 odd species described. That is 40% of Indian amphibians are described in the last 25 years. Thanks to technological advancement in terms of molecular analysis, acoustical analysis and all, you can see that spurt. And the peak of new species are still going on. That means we have not still saturated. There are many more species to be described. But at the same, what we need to understand is that though we have described 465 species, how much of them we know about their habitat, right? And that is when ecological status of amphibians of India becomes very crucial. And as you have seen, 30% of Indian amphibians are facing with threat, right? So I am going to change, or I'm going to talk about one species that we were able to assess during the global amphibian assessment, which is Malabar Tree Toad. And the species looks like this. Let's listen to it. Yeah, the story goes back to 1876 when Gunther described the species based on Colonel Bedom's collection. Two of the specimens he described with, and fortunately, unfortunately, the location was very broad in the sense it was said to be Malabar. So in India, Malabar means the coastal region starting from Mangalore, and it goes all the way southwest down till Trivandrum. So that's a huge area of space to talk about location. So perhaps that's one of the reasons for which for next 105 years, we didn't have any observation on the species, right? Pedostapes was described in 1876, and the second observation came only in 1980, right? This was spotted from Silent Valley. Dr. S.K. Bhattacharya got the specimen, but this paper was done by Pillai from Zoological Survey of India in 1986. Before that, there was a report from Inga in 1984. So like this, if you start looking at it, till 1980, there were no reports on Malabar Tree Toad or Pedostapes tuberculosis. That's all because of perhaps the larger area that was said in Gunther's paper, or perhaps it has skipped scientists' observations. So this is Inger's paper, and then followed by was Das and Whitaker, who did an observation from Goa, which is again, all the regions I'm talking about are on the western side of southwestern India. There's a mountain hill there, and the species is described from there. And then in 2001, again from Kerala, Vanjikadau, where Biju reported the specimen. And I got a chance to describe the species like when I was doing my postdoctoral studies in 2004, but it was published in 2005 from Karnataka. That was the first report from state of Karnataka. And what I did was I had a voice recorder with me. We recorded the call and said, this is the call parameters kind of thing. And before that was one more observation from Maharashtra. This is by Dhanukar et al. In 2004. Right, so these were the observations, and if you plot them, this is how it appeared, 1975, then there's a break, and then 1980, 1984, 98, 2001, 2004, kind of thing. Very limited observations. Fortunately, when I was observing this particular species, wherever I was observing, I was not observing one or two individuals. I was listening to their chorus calls. There were many individuals, not less than 30 or 40 individuals. It was always large number of individuals. So that made me to think what is happening. And at that same time, Boxley et al., they published a paper saying that there's a toad radiation in India, which is part of Into India hypothesis, saying that this is specific toad species, which is basal clade to all the toads in India. So if you see now, there's Gatophrenia ornata, and then followed by that is Pidostype tuberculosis. And later on, yeah, so they also showed that this is specific to Western Ghats Sri Lanka hotspot, and whereas Pidostypes is known only from Western Ghats hotspot. Later in 2016, Chan reported that because there were confusion that there is one species in Northeast India too, which is called Pidostype skimpi. But Chan's paper clearly, categorically said that that is not Pidostypes at all. So in Pidostypes, we have only one species and that one genus, and that's Pidostypes tuberculosis or Malabar Tree Toad. Right, so you can clearly see that it's a South Asian group. It is only available in the Western Ghats. So, and it also shows how Pidostypes is different from other toad species, because toads are the common feature is that they try to lay the eggs in terms of threads. You can see it here, whereas Pidostypes lay eggs on a loose, very loose way, like it's a spawn rather than a thread kind of spawn, right? And it's the only toad in the Western Ghats which is known to go on treetops and reside there and croak from treetops and then descend down and lay eggs in slow flowing streams. So Chandramoli and Amar Singh from Sri Lanka, they looked into the phylogenetic analysis, but they said, let us also compare the species through skeletal analysis and morphometry. So they were able to do that and say Pidostypes is clearly a different species and genus. There's nothing comparable to any other species in the world. Right. So with that introduction, I will move to what we, with my observations in the field of number of individuals that I used to see. So we got a funding from the Habitat Trust in 2019. Before that, there was Gubi Labs and Earthwatch Institute. We wanted to carry out a citizen science program on this particular species. Is this species really an endangered species? I'll just skip to the slide that I think I moved this slide. That's why it is. So to briefly tell about what is Malabar Tree Toad, it's described in 75, called tuberculosis, Pidostypes tuberculosis from Malabar area, only to be reported second time after 105 years by Pillai. And then in global amphibian assessments, it is considered as an endangered species. Right, so that's the gist. But as I said, wherever I was watching them, there were many individuals. So I thought, can we do something? It is not possible for scientists alone to go to field and search this frog across Western Ghats. It is better to have a citizen science program, and that is where the Mapping Malabar Tree Toad program came into existence. So it started in 2014 itself with Gubi Labs and Earthwatch Institute support. So, but what helped a lot was the COVID time. So I try to request many people on social media and ask them to go through their hard disk. And if they have any observations from the past, they can post it on India Biodiversity portal. So this is a portal where you can post amphibian photographs for India. Even if you don't know the species, feel free to post it. It is under Creative Commons licensing, so that there are people who will look into your observations and perhaps they will help you with identifications and all. In a larger terminology or larger context, all your observations are under Creative Commons licensing, so that you have the right of your observation. At the same time, other people can also see it. And if they use your observations, they have to cite your observation and cite you properly, right? So it also helps in understanding in India how the species distributions are, whether it's an endemic species or it's a widespread species. This particular website really helps you to look at all other species too. It's not just about Malabar Tree Toad, but it is also about other species. And again, not just about frogs. It can also go to plants, trees, butterflies, birds, and all. But today we'll just focus on Malabar Tree Toad program, how we did it. You can log in through your Gmail IDs or any IDs, and then you can have access to the number of observations. So this is how the Frog Watch website looks like. So we have about 463 species being mapped now. over 6,000 odd observations and maps and documents, and there are over 800 plus users. So the Mapping Malabar Tree Toad program started with looking at the design logo, because many instances, this particular aspect of designing logos or the journey itself is being masked, because we see ourselves as scientists and detach from all this stuff and say, okay, somebody does it, we get the logo, we put it there and say, this is our logo kind of thing. So, but in this particular project, we categorically mentioned that we hired two designers, Kaushik and Srishti from Srishti Manipal Institute. We paid them, this is a paid internship with us, and they developed the logo, and the logo looked like this, final logo, which symbolizes what Malabar Tree Toad program is all about. And their article is also on the frog log, so you can look into that and see how they have done it. The logo actually symbolizes the task, like it's a pin, location pin, and then the negative space is the lens. So we are looking for frogs, and MTT is symbolized with the brown color toad with the eye, horizontal eye. And if you carefully observe, the fingertips are dilated, it's triangular in shape. That's exact representation of the toad. And the mountain is Western Ghats, and it's holding on to. So it's also about the terrain where we are supposed to look at the frog. And then we conducted workshops. There were 3 workshops we did. One in Karnataka, where it's in Mannapapu Mane, where around 20 participants came along with the localites. What we also ensured in a workshop is that we were not inviting people from cities, in the sense who are away from the Western Ghats. We wanted this to be embedded in the Western Ghats so that it helps more people who are localites to engage with the frog, rather than people traveling all the way from, let's say, from Bangalore or Mysore or anywhere from Pune, Mumbai, and then go towards Western Ghats and work. So we ensured that all our places that we located had a local anchor and the network that he has. And then we invited people from that area to come and contribute towards observation of mapping Malabar Tree Toad. So one was in Karnataka, one was in Maharashtra, and the third one was in Kerala. It was well received. People were really appreciative of what we are working on. And there were also a lot of contributions and questions on what this all contribution leads towards, right? So we are now having a paper accepted in scientific reports based on the observations, which is talking about the distribution of the species. I will come to that in a couple of slides. Right, so this is how the observations are. So with the people I requested online and in person kind of thing, there were observations as far as 1998. Someone has observed from Kudremukh National Park. That was, I think, Rohit Rao. His name comes first. And yeah, that's the name you can see here. That comes from Kudremukh National Park in 1998. So I was saying that there was no observations in between 1990 and 2004, but there's already an observation from Karnataka in 1998, right? So these things came out during the COVID time, and there was a number of observations that got populated on Mapping Malabar Tree Toad website, right? So how does it sound? Just to show the initial period of calling, the initial period of there's calling pattern on that start pretty early in March. We used to think that it is only during the monsoon. So this is one of the major insight from people's contribution. So our idea of saying that this frog is only known during the June or monsoon is when the rain hits Indian Western Ghats. But thanks to people, our understanding of that shifted at least 3 months prior to, right? So this frog actually croaks somewhere in February itself. And in Karnataka part, it starts, in the southern part of Karnataka, it starts around March. And then as we move forward, so northern Western Ghats, especially Maharashtra, Goa, and northern part of Karnataka, it starts after the rain. somewhere during June 10th onwards. Right. So if you look at when they chorus, this is how the calls are. So it's not individual frog, it will be a toad. So it will be first toad, it will start, and then the other toad starts, and then there will simultaneous calls. They will croak in something like 15, 20 simultaneously. Right. The initial calls were only 1 or 2. That was in March, but this is chorus call during mid-May. Right. So based on citizen science data, this is the paper I was talking about. It's accepted in scientific reports. Soon it will be published. And all the contributors are authors of this paper that we ensured that how citizen science should be. What we also understood or what we are categorizing is that there could be two different populations in Malabar tree toad. One is the southern Western Ghats population, which is south of Kuduremukh, where the frog or this particular toad croaks much earlier than monsoon, and then the northern part of population, which croaks only with the start of monsoon. So we analyzed it. Mr. Arvind, who is a student of Dr. Preeti, analyzed this data, and it was shown that the frog is actually, this particular toad is widespread. But in coming years, like we also did for 2080 and 2075, 2060 and 2080. So those projected climatic change, the toad is shifting towards southern part and northern part is not available at all. But as of now, it's a widespread species. That's what was important for us. And it's the rainfall, it's the vegetation, those are playing important role in this toad's distribution. So if you look at biodiversity portal as of today, there are 358 observations and there are 151 observers who have posted this on India Biodiversity portal. That's a good thing to know. There are people like Afran, Purushottam, they contributed more across Western Ghats, and this is how it looks like, the distribution now. And if you see also from each state, so Karnataka contributes to about 274 observations, Kerala follows next, Goa, Tamil Nadu, and Maharashtra. But what is quite interesting for us is if you look at the total observations across months of a given year, June tops the list with 160 observations. But what we also needs to observe here is that it is observed across the entire year. So starting from June to December, there were observations. Though the breeding perhaps starts from February and ends by June, but species is observed in Jan also, in August, September, October, November, and December too. So there is a complete change in our understanding about this particular toad species, which we used to think that it's only June where it breeds and then it disappears and we never know about it. But now people started observing it. But it's not the breeding observation, it's more about subadults or individuals not croaking and these kind of stuff, right? So I think breeding happens only between February and June, but the other time period it is observed. That means it is there. It has not gone anywhere else. And for these reasons of number of observations and large distribution, now the species in 2022, it is considered as least concern species, right? Though this is not based on the conservation per se, it is not based on the conservation from 2004, the species has changed into least concern. It is because of more observation that was done. So that's why the change in least concern. But threat can still persist. Threat can be same. It can still be related with habitat. It still can be related with climate change issues because it's a tree species. It stays in trees. It can be the same threats. But the shift in its ecological status is not due to the threat status, but it's due to the number of observation and its spread across Western Ghats, which is a large extent compared to the earlier 4 or 5 observations till 2004. Right. So that's the shift in ecological status, but the threat status still remains. So we need to take this with a pinch of salt. So we need not have to be so happy that it has been delisted, but there is a concern over there because threats are still similar. So taking this further, we didn't stop looking at saying, oh, it has become least concern. We started writing letters to people, especially those who are in policy and decision making. One is our Minister for Forest and Ecology and Environment from Government of Karnataka. I was there with him last October, briefing about why frogs are important, because it's the same time when we got our nature paper out. So I need to communicate these things because majority of our conservation is biased towards large charismatic species. So these frogs tend to be seen or looked down upon kind of thing. So I need to tell why we need amphibians, what is their role in ecosystem functioning and all. And then I have to write to Principal Conservator of Forest Wildlife Karnataka, and same with a Member Secretary Karnataka Biodiversity Board. So we are hoping that we will have a state frog soon. We are pushing for it, and we are providing rationale also for why it has to be state frog of Karnataka. So initially, I was like 6 years ago, I was trying to see whether we can have a national amphibian. But then I soon realized, let us at least start from smaller units and then move towards the nation. And that's the reason why we started with Karnataka. So I think Kerala is already there with their pig-nosed frog, or the Nasica saharensis species. They call it as Mahabali frog. For Indian scenario, I think like for Karnataka part, I think I have kept this species, saying that it's most documented by people. It's not scientists who did all these things. It's by people. It's one of the most widespread species, and that makes very important. And it's also that it has now become a very common species across Western Ghats, because conserving common is equally important as conserving a rare species. If you conserve a common species, it matters a lot. And then this is pushed into Schedule 2 of Indian Wildlife Protection Act in 2022. And it also has a Kannada name, which matters a lot, which is called Malenadina Maraganti Kappe in Kannada, which will connect better with local people. So this is the status now we are in. I hope it will get the state amphibian of Karnataka soon. So I will shift from mapping Malabar Tree to a bit of citizen science initiatives that what we are doing in Karnataka, so that it also helps. It's not just about one species and then that's it kind of. It is a starting point for us in the sense of conservation, because we need to have an anchor species to say, this is what we did. And there is an anchor species over there. And for that, we had to have materials for people to understand, appreciate, and also engage with people in a way where frog becomes the second nature kind of thing. It's part of their day-to-day life, right? So we have batrachariums that's been planned. We have a private person who declared his place as frog nest and allows researchers to come there and do the research. So batracharium was a concept which is presented in 2019 from these places. So what it is, it's not that we are going to collect individuals and put it in an aquarium kind of thing, but we designate a place in a natural landscape and say that where you can go and watch what kind of species. So one is in Mannapapumane, one is in Taj Madkeri, which is a 5-star hotel, and one in Honey Valley. We also provided them with materials and books. We take people out, and this is how it is shown. Like in the initial periods, we try to put the poster where you can find frog, but now it appears aesthetically not so pleasing. So we are not putting the posters, but we provide a small booklet which will have these frogs, and also a foldable A4 size sheet that you can keep it in the pocket, flip it and see what species where kind of thing. And then if you need it, you can carry it. Otherwise, you can drop it back at the hotel. So these are the booklets that we provide with. These are the takeaways that we provide. And then we conduct frog walks there. And fortunately, Karnataka department also joined hands and started a festival called Frog Festival in 2021. which again involved school students, localites, invitees, researchers, and the forest personnel. So it helped a lot. Over 300 plus people gathered in 2 days to understand what's happening with frogs in the state of Karnataka. Yeah, that's it. So this is where we are today with a lot of contribution from people. And thanks to all of them. And that's how we are promoting citizen science initiatives in Karnataka. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gururaja. I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
You just showed us the book. Is that available as a PDF? And if so, can we add it to the Save the Frogs website?
Yes, that's available.
Okay, good.
All the materials are available as PDF. I'm going to share that.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if you knew this, but Save the Frogs has had success getting state amphibians. We got the California red-legged frog in the state of California. That was about 10 years ago. And also I believe a salamander in North Carolina.
Correct.
I think that if it would help, that Sarbani could write a letter of support from Save the Frogs India, and I can write a letter from Save the Frogs. So if you need those, just let us know. Ideally, send us a pre-written letter, and we can add it to letterhead and sign it.
Perfect. I had mentioned these things also in my letter, saying that these are the two states outside India, but in India we don't have any. So it's high time that we have it. It will be great if you guys send a supporting letter too.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked in a long time, but I think there's actually at least 30 states that have a state amphibian of some sort.
Okay. I was not aware. Yeah, that will be great to enlist.
Yes. I will be really happy to do that. Anything for the frogs. So I have a basic question for you. When people are observing the toad, how high are they built on the tree?
Oh, wonderful question. Sarbani, if they are in the initial period of breeding, if they are observing in the initial period of breeding, it can go as high as 8 to 10 meters. Then it will be very difficult to watch. The only option will be to hear, right? When you hear those individuals, then you will be able to understand. So what we are asking them is to do two things. One is that if they are hearing, they can record with their smartphones. And India Biodiversity Portal has an option to post frog records. So they can record it at 256 bits bitrate and in WAV format. That will be good enough for us to analyze the calls in future, right? And people can do that. Or if they see an individual in the monsoon, so they need not have to really go early in the monsoon, but if they are in the monsoon, the toads actually come down. They are on the ground and they congregate in certain places and then they start croaking. And that will be like not one or two, it will be 50, 60 individuals together. So that's the great time to watch them and to understand what chorusing behavior is, right? So that will be an easier way to do rather than waiting in like lean period and figuring out where the frog is croaking from, which will be very tough if it is too high in the canopy.
Yes.
Right.
And they lay eggs in the ponds or
no, they lay eggs in flowing streams, shallow flowing streams. The depth need not have to be beyond 10 centimeters water depth. So below that only they will try to go and lay the eggs. And it's a spawn of 30 to 40 eggs in one go. And they do it multiple times and then leave the space.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody has any question, you can ask Dr. Gururaja KV.
And this is also from Citizen Science. So people were able to, so that's a lapel pin. I'll try to see whether I can show it.
Wow.
Yep. Thanks to some of the designers, they helped with that particular frog photograph. So we were able to do that. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And this is an eye opener for everyone here today. And for us who are actually trying to generate mass awareness about amphibians, because when we start talking about amphibians, people first reaction is like amphibians are yucky. So it's like from yucky to they are cute. This journey is tough, but you have made it possible. So this is an eye opener for all, basically. So
Thank you. Thank you, Sarbani, for those words. Thank you.
thanks a lot. And I don't think anybody has a question here. So someone is writing thank you in the chat box. Okay. So no
Kate
question in the
Kenner.
chat box.
Kate Kenner has raised her voice, her hand. So is that Kate correct word? Correct way to pronounce?
Okay, well, I live in the US, so I won't see these frogs, but do you have people reporting from Bengal? I mean, I know it's out in the water, but because I have an online friend who lives there, and she tells me she gets frogs in her yard. She doesn't know how they get there because there's a wall there, but maybe she would be, I don't know if she'd be interested in reporting, but I would tell her.
This is not available in Bengal. This is endemic to southwestern part of India.
Okay, that's what I thought. But when you were talking about citizen science, it sounded like there were 3 main areas, but I know she gets frogs. So I figured I would ask. I wasn't sure how widespread it is, but
Sarbani is up there in Bengal area. So is she near, is your friend near Calcutta?
I'm trying to think.
Well, let her know that Save the Frogs India has stuff going on in Calcutta. So if she is near there, then have her write in.
I don't think she's like really near there. I know she has mentioned being there or going through there, but
okay. So basically, we are planning to do one mass awareness program on salamander in Darjeeling, and that will actually involve the local people. So the tourist will have a booklet kind of thing, but the local people whose ears are being used by the salamanders as breeding pools, they should know the importance. So we are planning to do one, and we might be needing your help in that.
oh, okay. Well, I'm not there, but I could ask her, 'cause she's, like me, she's a lover of
And
every animal on the earth.
Yeah.
So
and we might be needing the help of Dr. Gururaja KV sir as well.
There,
Okay.
I'm there. I'm working in an art and design college, so designing will not be a challenge. Yeah, definitely I will be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Everyone out there, if you have any questions, now's the time to send them in, or anything you want to say about Save the Frogs India or South Asia Meetups. These events happen every month on the last Saturday of the month. Also, in about 2 hours and 45 minutes, we have our Save the Frogs Africa meetup focused on Africa. Those also happen the last Saturday of every month. So join if you can. Those ones, savethefrogs.com/Africa.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so we have organized one internship program with one of the colleges in Kolkata. They were very keen to learn about the frogs. And that time I told you as well, Dr. Gururaja sir, but you were busy, quite busy in frog work. So I have an intern today with us. Jalil, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you would like to share your experience with Save the Frogs India in a few words, that will be really helpful.
Yeah, so basically, hello everyone. Myself, Jalilur Rahman, and I'm from Ashutosh College from Calcutta. And recently, we had an internship program with Save the Frogs India. And to be honest, it was a really great experience for us being a student of BSc Zoology. Like it was totally a different experience for all of us. All 11 of us were there in the internship program. We had a lot of new experiences and ma'am really helped us out. So it was all over a great experience. We did an awareness program in a school and we also organized an essay competition. So all over working with Save the Frogs was like a totally new experience and it was like a lot of things we learned and we are happy to be there. And I would like to thank ma'am for giving us the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you, Jalil, for your kind words. So thanks to Kerry and Save the Frogs for the immense support. And he is the person who behind all these things, all the efforts. And thanks to you all for joining us in Saturday evening. You have given us your precious time. So our next meetup will be the last Saturday of August, and we will be inviting another keynote speaker, who is a very prominent amphibian and reptilian researcher and scientist in India. So we will post the flyer very soon, and stay tuned to our website and Facebook page for more updates. And we want to see you all in our next meetup. Thanks to you.
All right. See you all soon.
Bye.
See you all soon. Bye. Bye. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.